Hi everyone, it's me, C Lefty Run. I have my Revel Big Bear race recap. And let me tell you, this time last week, I didn't think I'd be telling you today that I ran a 3:27:24. That was like beyond my wildest dreams. And I think I said it best. I was hoping for a sub 3:35, but it was like, if it's a perfect day, maybe I can pull a 3:29. And I ended up doing a 3:27. So let's talk about what I think I did to get me there. Number one, I really think was fueling. I made sure to take a gel. I used that Precision Fuel, which I like because it has the consistency of a Morton gel, but there's 25 grams of carbs in it. And it actually, in my opinion, tastes better than the Morton gels. I don't like the taste of the Morton gels or Martin gels, however you say it. And they also have a caffeinated Precision Gel with 100 milligrams of caffeine in it. So 15 minutes before the start, I took the caffeinated Precision Gel. And then I took a gel at mile 4, miles 8. And then at mile 12, I took another caffeinated gel with 100 milligrams. And then I took another caffeinated gel at mile 16. And that wasn't on purpose. It was just because I grabbed it by mistake and I didn't feel like swapping it out. So I just took it. I took another regular gel at mile 20. And then my last gel I took at mile 23 instead of mile 24. That was suggested to me by my friend Carmen, who I met last year at Revel Big Bear. And she is a running ninja and she's my guru. She's a couple years older than me, but she's a heck of a lot faster. And so she also told me at mile 13 to take naproxen sodium. She goes, it's going to help with your cramping at the end. So I took a risk and I took it. I think it's like an ibuprofen. So I'm sure it helped based on the way I felt at the end. I also, per her recommendation, added beet powder, a tablespoon a day. I took it all race week and then the morning of. I think that really helped too. At least I'd like to believe that it did. So let's get to week of for training. And then I also, back to fueling, I followed Featherstone Nutrition and I downloaded her free PDF and I did 450 grams of carbs Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I just bagels, graham crackers, kept it pretty simple. Didn't increase the volume of what I ate, but just made sure I was eating a high carb diet the week of. So I think all of those things really helped. So race week, my training, I did like 5 miles. The only thing I really changed was I did do runner's high track on Tuesday nights, which I typically don't do, but I just wanted to sharpen my legs a bit. I didn't do their full workout. I modified it a bit, but I just wanted to. And I think that made my legs feel fresh. Like I felt like I had a little more pop in my legs than I usually do during the taper. So that was good. I left Friday morning and I was able to check into my hotel early. I got a room upgrade. I was like, yeah, this race is off to a good start. It was Veterans Day. I went to the expo and I listened to Coach Paul's course preview, which even though I've already run Revel Big Bear, I still like to listen to his course previews. I think they're really important. If you ever run a Revel race, definitely check out his course preview. So one of the things that I took away from it is I know that the first 9 miles are rolling hills, but it was interesting because he showed us data from 2 times he had run Big Bear. And in both instances where he like beyond PR'd, by mile 9, he was not at marathon pace yet, but he was like, it was okay. I was settling in. I knew that I could get there after that. So I took that advice into the race. So as you know, a lot of my students have been sick leading into this race, which happens. They're kindergartners, their immune systems are still developing. Friday morning, my son woke up with a sore throat. He had a cold, and I was like, oh my gosh. So I was really paranoid about getting sick. So on Friday, my stomach's kind of churning. I'm a little bit dizzy. I was like, oh my gosh, am I getting sick? Am I going to wake up tomorrow and not be able to run this race because I'm sick? So I was super paranoid about that. And I was really tired. and I went to bed at 8:30. I had my Olive Garden, and I thought I would fall asleep, and I never fell asleep. And I don't think I got slept a minute that night because I was so concerned about, why am I dizzy? Why does my stomach hurt? I think it was just nerves. But yeah, so I also asked the hotel to call me at 2:15, give me a wake-up call at 2:15, and it never did. Thank gosh I had my cell phone alarm set. So woke up race morning at 2:15 a.m., started with coffee, that cleared everything out for me, if you know what I mean. And then I had a Kodiak cake. And then I was like drinking, after the coffee, I was drinking my electrolytes. Then I packed for the race, which was confusing because I was like, how cold is it going to be at the start? What do I need? Blah, blah, blah. So I ended up packing, like, what did I wear? I ended up with shorts, decided to wear shorts. I had my wool Bomba socks that go to my mid calf. I had my Saucony Endorphin Pros, which are very ventilated. So those were cold, but it was fine. I had my Tommy Rivers hat on, but I put a beanie on top of it, so it covered my ears. That made a huge difference. If I didn't have that, I would have been really cold. And then I had gloves with hand warmers. And then I was wearing sweatpants. So on the bus ride up, I met a really nice woman named Nancy, and we were chatting for a while. This is important to the story later. Oh, and I have to stop and say, shout out Bernie Bell. I met a guy who watches this channel named Bernie at the race. And he was like, I watch a YouTube channel. So that was like, so awesome. I was like, that was better than PRing, right? So shout out Bernie. Hope you get home safely. Anyway, so met Nancy. I always meet really nice people at Revel races. And got to the top, cold, mid-20s. I had it's just a lot to get together. I think I used the porta potty on the bus and then 3 times before the race. 5:45, like I said, I took the caffeinated gel. I put all the things I wasn't going to wear at the race in my grab bag, including sandals for the end. And race started, it was a little late, like 6:05. And the first 9 miles, I was freezing and I could not feel my body. So I would check in with my pace every now and again, and I was not on track. But I was like, it's okay. The race just started. You got to settle in. One thing that threw me through the loop was my music. I have Spotify playlists that I use, and it's downloaded. And for whatever reason, something happened, and the playlist was no longer downloaded. And so that means if you try to listen to music, it relies on surrounding internet connections. While at 7,500 feet or 7,000 feet of elevation, you're not getting internet. So my songs kept going in and out, and that was dry. Those were like little mental jabs where I was like, you have an expectation of something to work out, and it's not. So I finally was like, you got to let the music go, girl. You just don't have music right now. Get over it and move on with your life. So up into the first 9 miles, I kept seeing the 3:35 pacer. And for a while, she was well ahead of me. And then I kind of started to make gains on her. And then I chatted with her for a bit. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for pacing. Seems like a really hard job. And I think she's a sub 3-hour marathoner. So 2:35 is pretty, she's done the race before. So really nice of pacers to do that. It seems like a lot of work. I think I finally passed her at mile 9, 10-ish, 11-ish. Yeah, maybe mile 11. And at that point, I was still fully dressed. I had my jacket on, still my gloves, still the beanie. And at that point, I had shed my jacket. And I just had my arm sleeves on, still had the gloves on, still had the beanie on. I had hand warmers. And then I put warmers in my pockets. So it was cold. By mile 13, I had passed her. So, and I was feeling really good. I still didn't have great music. And then by about mile 17, I passed the 3:30 pacer. And I was like, all right. And then I thought, oh my gosh, I have Apple Music. Like that doesn't go away. So then I switched to Apple Music, but I hadn't used it in a long time. And I had I don't know if you're familiar with the band, The National, at The National and David Gray. Not like music where you're like, I'm going to go fast. But I was like, well, it was better than nothing. So yeah, past the 3:30 guy, felt really good, was feeling strong. Like as I was running past people, they're like, go, you know, you look really strong, which is really nice. Again, like so encouraging. And I felt strong, and I was like, this is a PR day for me. If all goes well, I'm going to PR this race. And so by about mile 20, I was like, I'm on par to like sub 3:30. I kept watching my watch, and like the average pace kept coming down. And it was just a gradual thing. I didn't like shed minutes off in a mile. Like I was really gradually just ticking away. And mile 20, I got a stomach cramp that I was like, what is this? I don't ever get those. And so it was pretty good. It was almost like a spasm. So I just kind of envisioned like breathing into it. Like I literally saw a cramp in my stomach, and I was like taking deep breaths and like blowing air onto it. And it dissipated. So at mile 23, I took my last gel, and I was questioning whether or not I should take it, but I did. But what I did stop doing was drinking water, and I would just swish with it and spit out, because at that point I'm like, I'm hydrated enough. I should have enough to get me to the end of the race. And so I just I never hit the wall. I just was like, okay, I'm just plugging away. It was like mile after mile. And then I always go, I think a good mental strategy for me is just go gel to gel. Okay, you get your next gel in 4 miles. Okay, you get your next gel in 4 miles. So, and then I always think at 13.1, like there's more behind than ahead. And then at mile 16, I'm like, okay, this is where the Luke Humphrey plan stops, and this is where you keep going. And then at mile 20, I'm like, okay, you've got a 10K, like a Monday morning run left. And then at 23, I'm like, you have 3 left. You did it yesterday. Like, so those are just the little mental things I do. So yeah, and so I finished. I felt great. I saw Nancy at the finish, who I met on the bus. I saw Bernie at the finish, who like was like, hi, I watch your videos. They're very helpful. So that was really kind. I saw my friend Maria, who I used to run with 11 years ago. And then I had kids, and she had kids. And this was her first marathon after having kids. So I was super proud of her just to get out there. It's hard to do. Some things that I did differently this cycle, or that I just was kind of noting, was that my easy runs were slower than they've ever been. And at first I was like, should I be concerned about this? But I just let it go. And I was running by feel, and 9:45 paces is kind of what I was averaging for my easy runs. I was very consistent. It was a hot summer for Southern California, and it lasted until like mid-October. I mean, heat I've never felt here before. And I was frustrated by that at first. And then I changed my strategy to, you know what, just get the miles in. Like if your plan calls for 55 miles this week, just do the miles. And if the pace falls into place, it does. If it doesn't, that's okay. But you got to get the miles in. So I never cut I never cut my runs short, and I never skipped them. And then I've been consistently working at this for like 2 years. And then I did a lot of strength training. I listened to a Luke Humphrey video once, and he said 1 full body day a week will give you like a huge percentage of gain. If you do 2, that gives you even more gains. If you do 3, you're not getting much more gains beyond 2. And I was like, oh, running wise, this is just running related. And so I made sure I did 2 full body strength workouts a week, and abs in between. And I think that really helped me feel strong the entire race. And when I finished, I was able to walk around. I didn't feel the need to take my shoes off. Last year when I ran it, I wanted to lay down. I was so sore I could barely walk right afterwards. This year I was like, hey, what's up, everybody? I felt very fresh. So I did change into my sandals though when I got my bag back. So I think those things were really like big game changers for me. And now I'm happy to report I'm not chasing PRs anymore. I'm really satisfied with a 3:27:24. I don't think I would get much more fulfillment if I kept going faster than that. So I'm really at peace with that. I'm holding steady there. I'm going to train for Boston starting in January. And my goal is going to be to run it well and to just run with joy, and to be able to really look at the people and the surroundings and appreciate the experience, but also without like crawling to the finish. So that's the goal for Boston, and probably for my marathons moving forward. I can work on my half marathon time. I'd like to get that down to about 1 hour and 45 minutes. I am running Charleston half in April. That'll be my prep before Boston because my husband's going to be there for Baker to Vegas. So I'll do Charleston half as my training run. Maybe I'll PR there for Charleston. And that's the plan. But I just want to thank all of you who do watch this channel. I know it's not real flashy. I don't have run footage. I don't, edit and put in interesting things. And, if I just hope it's been helpful to some of you. I wish I was fancier. I'm just not. I do this from like Zoom. I do the Zoom record, so it doesn't take up too much memory on my computer. And I just, hope you found it helpful. And I will be back for my Boston series. And happy running to you. And if you have any questions, let me know. But that was my Big Bear recap. I highly recommend Revel races. They're well organized, especially if you want a PR. And I didn't do any hill training. If I see a hill, I'll run up and down it, but I don't really seek them out. But what I do focus on is quad strength. And I think that's really important in the Revel races, because I'm telling you today, my quads are really sore. Like getting up and down stairs is very difficult. So make sure you strengthen those quads if you live in a flat area and you don't have time to drive to hills like me. So anyway, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in my Boston series.